I'm sorry, I couldn't read your mind. Hi, everyone. Hold on. I failed.
You failed mind reading 101.
I did.
Again.
I did.
Fine.
I totally misread that. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Church Without Walls.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard.
It is an absolute honor to be able to talk with you, to share with you some of the mysteries of the Bible, the wonders of the gospel.
The mysteries of Bill and Teresa.
And the mysteries of Bill and Teresa.
We are weird. We know it.
Yes, we are.
Rightfully so. We're pleased.
And today, I would like to go back to my testimony, which is one of the very first videos. I'll put a thing up here for it. My testimony that goes back way back to one of the very beginning videos, and describe a little bit more in detail what happens when the weather changes so dramatically with my traumatic brain injury. The whole thing started with after I made sure Jonathan was.
So leading up to this, he was involved in a major motor vehicle accident. We had some really good family friends and members of the church. They were going back east for Thanksgiving for family and stuff, and their car broke down. And so I'm like, hey, you guys should go help. And they were all up for a road trip.
What is it? Dun, 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 dun. I can't remember. I'm so bad at this. Oh, I'm embarrassed now.
He can't remember Superman. That's all right. He can get over the embarrassment because most of us can't remember stuff in the moment. But realistically, he and Google.
My face is blushed just like the red clouds.
Yeah, but he and Google hopped in the truck and rented a car dolly, and off they went. And on the way back, the whole area was hit with some black ice. There were 9 accidents in a 7-mile radius, I think, or a 5-mile radius. I mean, there was a lot of accidents.
The state trooper getting to us to our first accident almost got into an accident.
Almost lost it.
Getting to us.
Yeah, and they were traveling like well under the speed limit and everything like that.
It was just one of those freak things.
Yeah, just, it happened, and the person driving, didn't end up with a ticket because it wasn't like that kind of a fault thing.
Yep.
And the car dolly broke off, which flipped the truck. And so Bill hit his head, as best as he can recall, roughly 5, 6, 7 times. The state trooper believes that the truck did roll about 6 or 7 times. And so it was a 4-door truck, and it ripped off the driver's side doors because it was 2 front doors and 2 rear doors. And our son wound up on the middle of I-80, and my husband had hit his head where the truck roof and the handle met, kind of right at that angle.
Right, kind of have the handle punched my neck, and then the roof of the truck as gravity was continuing the roll.
So boom,
hyperextended my neck this way.
Yeah, and I mean, he was more concerned, of course, for Jonathan, because Jonathan literally, he turned around and there's no Jonathan, there's no door.
There's no door.
And so adrenaline really took over. Now, he climbed out the passenger window. I mean, the roof had sunk in some, but very fortunately it wasn't so much that he couldn't get out.
I don't know how I got through that hole.
Adrenaline. And so he went and found Jonathan, and throughout the whole day, literally, the 2 worst people were taken to one hospital and one ambulance, and everybody else had to wait for the next ambulance. And he was running on adrenaline. And
I went, the first hospital that I went to said, take some Advil, you'll be okay.
You're going to be sore, but
you're going to be sore. Then I didn't have a ride to my son because he was on the opposite side of Nebraska.
Yeah, because the first ambulance was contracted with one hospital,
Yep.
and the second ambulance was contracted with another hospital.
So the state trooper stayed behind
on his off hours.
And gave me a ride.
And they provided from his church. Somebody else was coming with a minivan to take the other family to the other hospital as well. Was providing transportation and everything like that. While understandably so, Bill is not sold on the area where this happened because of the memories around it. I was definitely sold. They were fabulous people. I was consistently getting calls. Hey, your son needs surgery. Hey, this is what's going on. Hey, can we do this? Hey, this is what's going on. And they kept me up to date. But they weren't necessarily keeping him up to date. And he had this image of his son bleeding on the middle of the highway. And he just needed to get to Google.
I needed to get to my Jonathan. So once I got there, realized that he was safe. That's when I realized someone told me to take my hat off. So I took my hat off. And the next thing you know, on this side right here.
I'm on the phone with him.
Actually, and it is this side right here.
Yeah. You've seen him go down to the ER.
And it was just growing this way.
His whole head. And not just here. His whole head. And this was hours after the effect.
And so I asked Jonathan's nurses, I said, she's insisting I go to the emergency room. Do you concur? And both the nurses were like, yeah, that's what needs to happen. Yeah, that's how.
You need to go to the ER.
You go to the ER. So that's where I get diagnosed with post-concussive syndrome.
You get diagnosed with a concussion.
I'll get diagnosed with a concussion. We get back into Denver, make a hospital visit, several weeks.
He was in and out of the doctor, of course, a gazillion times. Follow up from an accident, follow up from an ER. Okay, send him to do this, do that, x-rays. Eventually released for physical therapy and so on and so forth. And realistically, I was reaching my limit. I mean, this happened right before Thanksgiving, and he'd been in and out of the hospital, and he was having periods of amnesia and just lots of struggles. And finally, he was released to physical therapy, and the boys took him to physical therapy.
Yes, I was released to physical therapy by my.
The physical therapist was like,
and
you were released?
The physical therapist is taking a look at me, and he's going, "You're released? Are you sure?"
And he's looking, yes, I got the release here, okay.
Is it all right if I lay my hands on your body?
On your neck.
On your neck.
You sit in the chair.
So I'm sitting, and he goes to go move my neck, and he knocks me out.
I mean, literally just kind of moves his neck, and boom.
Kind of like a Vulcan neck pinch.
Yeah, only without pinching.
Yeah, without the... No, that's the music in the background.
Really?
Dun, 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 dun,
I've never heard music for the Vulcan neck pinch.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I was just making noise.
Yes, that I believe. So,
the physical therapy that was right before Christmas. That was on the 23rd. So I'm in the hospital on the 23rd. I'm in the hospital on December 24th, and my family goes Christmas light looking every year, and I'm stuck in the hospital.
And we didn't go look at Christmas
and I'm like, man, I am not.
He was a very sad puppy.
I'm not going to miss Christmas. I'm not going to spend Christmas in the hospital.
And I'm like,
I ended up spending Christmas in the hospital. So this is what my beautiful boys did for me. They went to Walgreens and got me a Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Yep, with the one single little red ornament.
And they
string lights.
They got some string lights, battery powered string lights that we put around the tree, the entertainment center of the hospital. And then they transported, in the many times that I was asleep,
they transported the stockings.
They transported the stockings
from the house. You will stop. Thank you. So we had stockings,
so we could have at least stockings, and the nurses were just like,
they were.
It was awesome.
We literally, for one person in the bed, I was in like the recliner chair. There were two people, two of the boys in the window bench bed seat thing. Another one over in the other chair. It was 5 of us, and Miranda would have been there too if she had been in the state.
Yes, she was not in the state. She was.
But the TBI, now that we've gotten him through the post-concussive, and he was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury and everything like that, he went through trial and error with a lot of professionals and opiates, and then off of the opiates and onto Suboxone to taper him off of the opiates, and then off of the Suboxone, and he's been off of Suboxone now for 3 years now, maybe 4.
2017.
Yeah,
Father's Day,
this
2017.
year will be 4 years, so 3.5 years. And
the most important event in Rockies history, other than making the World Series happen.
I am so pleased that you were able to see Todd Helton.
No, that wasn't that day.
Oh,
that's
then what
Sunday?
What did I miss?
Sunday, Father's Day, 2017 is the day that Nolan Arenado hit the home run for the walk-off.
Oh, okay. So apparently something super important.
It's super important.
It's baseball.
Nolan Arenado is my favorite player, even though he's no longer with the Rockies. But we're not gonna.
This is not a video about Rockies. So how does a traumatic brain injury impact Bill currently?
My short-term memory is shot.
It comes and goes. There are times that it's better than others, and you know it. He doesn't remember that.
My long-term memory is definitely getting
way improved. It is definitely getting better.
I paid a lot of money to get my education, and there was a while there I couldn't pull on that information. And it's kind of like my file cabinet. All the files and all the papers that were in the file cabinet when I went over in the accident, all the paper went everywhere. And I've been slowly over the last 10 years putting the pieces back together. But you know what I've learned through doing that is I've learned God's love. I've learned God's patience. And I've learned humility, which are some attributes I did not have before the accident. I was not a very humble man at all. But the number one thing that the accident that I get out of the accident is I would not be here in front of the camera if it hadn't been for the accident. So I thank God for that accident.
Yeah. We have reached a point, I think, where we are pleased that it occurred. Not that we wanted it to occur, but pleased with what we've learned from it.
From what we've learned from it.
That might be the better option.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah. The effects are mental fogness, fatigue. Some days are good, some days are bad.
Every day has pain.
Whatever reason, but there is chronic pain. And when the barometric pressure changes, as it does so often in Colorado, your plates.
So the sutures on a baby's head.
On the baby's head,
they grow together.
There's a gap.
And then
they firm up. Through childhood, and then becoming teenagers, and then by the time you become an adult, those two plates are sitting next to each other. There's not several. Connected. Okay, but yeah, there's like cranial plates all over.
Yeah.
God designed this thing.
But you're right. The two plates that really most affect Bill are right here, okay, and then back over here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's 3 because there's also this one here.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, and even though they're firmed up, they still smidge of movement.
Yeah, there's it's kind of like the tectonic plates on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Pacific coast shelf is being subducted by the North American plate, so the Pacific floor is going underneath.
But there's others that are
rubbing, and they go back and forth. That's the Ring of Fire.
Is that okay?
And that's when that rubbing happens. That's when we get earthquakes and some of the rubbing is good, and some of the rubbing is bad, and ends up with a 9.7 causing tsunami and all that other nasty stuff that comes with natural evil, which we will do a video on.
Yeah.
The nature of evil, and what actually we'll just call it, why does God allow evil?
Yeah, but there's several pieces, but there's natural versus sin and stuff like that. One other piece I want to point out is that, yes, it sometimes affects him for pain. There are going to be some sermons occasionally that as they get uploaded, you'll see that it might just be me. There's occasional times where he'll zone out and you'll see me kind of go, hey, kind of thing. And he does not like that, but there are times that the stimulation or he just gets overwhelmed. So you know how any of us can be around maybe kids or somebody's watching TV in another room or whatever, and we can kind of zone it out? He's lost those filters. So he hears everything
at once.
And he, whether it's over there or right next to him, it's entering his brain with the same level of
intensity.
That's a great word for it, intensity.
It's the same thing with my eyes.
Yeah.
And my nose. All my senses.
Yeah. So there's just so much sensory overload, and then the overwhelm, and then when he loses his train of thought or he can't find the word he's looking for, it's like his brain kind of goes, what? I'm done.
I could be right in the middle of a sentence and then go, what was I talking about? Because I lose it right in the middle of that sentence.
That's the short-term piece you're
talking about. And that's the short-term memory.
Yes, okay.
It was like, oh, what was I talking about? It's because it just flies away. But like I said, this is my thorn in the flesh. Paul had a thorn in the flesh. All strong men that I knew had some form of something that has caused a little bit of hardship, physical hardship, and it's to help us getting too high and mighty because we know what's in this. We know how to give it out. There's the information, and that's why God did not remove Paul's thorn in the flesh in Ephesians. I think it's Ephesians. Check that out real quick.
Yes, assuming I have a phone running around here somewhere.
You don't have your phone?
It's around somewhere.
But Paul, what was I talking about?
Thorn in the flesh?
Thorn in the flesh. Paul had a physical ailment that caused him.
2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 6, 7.
I was going to say it was second. I should have said 2 Corinthians. I don't know why I said Ephesians.
Because it's a shun. It's Ephesians, Philippians.
The shuns. Just read the shuns.
They're amazing
When we
books.
get Book of Bible, we're going to do one just called the shuns. We love it. That just sounds like a great
It's one
idea.
of my favorite areas of the Bible.
Yeah, it's my thorn in the flesh, and I'll take it. And the reason I'll take it is because I now have the ability to say that God loves you. God loved you so much that he left his throne of glory to become a baby in a cradle in the dirt. He lived for 30 years, had 3 years of ministry, and for that 3 years of ministry, we put him on a cross because he loved us enough to die for our sins because he was sinless.
Yes.
And then we put him in a tomb, and then only a God with the attributes of what we've been talking about in the omnis.
Right.
And we'll link the omnis at the end of the video.
That makes sense.
But he rose again on the third day. And that resurrection, like I said, is the currency behind the power of the blood. Because if you don't rise from the dead, when you don't rise from the dead, then the blood sacrifice means nothing. But if you can come back to life after the blood sacrifice, that's what gives currency, the power of the blood. The resurrection is the currency behind it. Kind of like
Understood.
Kind of like we used to be, where it's oil now, but we used to be a gold-backed dollar. We had a whole bunch of gold in Fort Knox.
We understand the concept you're talking about.
And it was a dollar. So that's kind of the way that I view it.
Mhm.
Is that the resurrection is the currency.
He resurrected. He died for us. He is
And
coming back for us.
And he's coming back for us.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because he said, I go and prepare a place for you. If it's not so, I would not have told you.
Yes.
For in my Father's house are many mansions.
Depending on the version, many rooms.
You know what? That's another one. Many mansions.
Okay.
Because that one needs explanations as well.
Understood. All right. So as we finish this up, please throw in any comments, prayer requests, anything like that down below. And please consider sharing this on all of your social media.
Just go ahead.
Hit the subscribe button.
Reach down there and hit that subscribe button.
But pray about however you need,
I'd appreciate it.
So that you know that you might be doing the will of God by encouraging other people to understand the gospel and the good news. And
having a safe place to be able to just learn simple, basic Christian stuff. So thanks for joining us on this Bill Part 2. And I am looking forward to being able to share the gospel with you again. There were some. May God love you and keep you. May His countenance shine upon you and bring you peace.
Amen. Make good choices.